Hello and welcome to Kentucky, to the southern part of Madison County in east central Kentucky. And I'll turn on the physiographic regions to give you a little idea of where we are. Turn off the county polygon and let's zoom in to Madison County. So here at the southern edge of the bluegrass where it meets the Mississippi Plateau, there's actually not shown on this map a somewhat semicircular, narrow area of rather steep but short hills that we call the Knobs, and that's where Berea, Kentucky is located, and Berea College. Let me turn the county off and let's go ahead and zoom into the Berea quadrangle area. And we'll turn off the physiographic region so we can see it. So I've got some aerial photographs of the region here. Let me zoom to the photographs, the air photos. So here is Berea College, this semicircular, somewhat circular area. Berea Town, Interstate 75, 2 hours south of Cincinnati, 2 hours north of Knoxville. And what we're interested in today is to work with some soil quality data up here that I'm circling with my mouse on the college farm called Hunt Acres, about 600 acres of farmland just north of town. Let me go on into the farm study. The issue here was for a number of years, there was a swine operation here on the farm, an industrial style, and there were some water quality issues which we studied in this small watershed. And I'll show you just a few slides about that to get you, give you some context. So this is a view, a few miles east and south of Berea Town, and you can see the knobs. They're fairly steep, and it's actually what they call an eroded peneplain. But in any case, for a number of years, decades actually, the college raised hogs in a sort of a miniature industrial style operation. Total confinement. The waste falls through the slatted floor, is flushed out to an open lagoon, and drains to a lower lagoon, and it's supposed to not overflow. The design is that inputs in rain equal the outputs in evaporation, but in practice, in heavy rain events, also as the upper lagoon filled with waste, the volume was less, so there was a problem, and you can certainly see this muddy path that's going downhill to the lake, which we call Big Lake. And there were definitely water quality issues. There were some fish kills, there was algae blooms, foul odors, and sickened lambs. Here's the study area. When we came out here, we noticed right away that there's a little ridge line running down here, you can see from the contour lines. And so we had a natural experiment with a watershed that had for many years not received any kind of excess waste inputs, and then this one where the lower lagoon would overflow and follow down that path and get into the stock pond. We studied soil phosphorus mainly because it tends to stay where it's put. It tends to be sediment bound. It doesn't leach downward in the soil. It doesn't have all the complicated oxidation reduction reactions. So it wasn't the biggest problem for water quality, but it was the easiest thing to measure that was fairly stable from month to year to year. Anyway, nowadays, starting in 2010, they shut down the operation of the swine house, and they raise fewer swine but outdoors nowadays. And the swine house itself has been turned over to oak logs for shiitake mushroom production. Anyway, with that as background, we can go back to the map, and let's in this one I'll show you how to clean up some kind of raggedy, turning a real raggedy line feature into polygons. So let's zoom into that. Alright, and I'm going to turn off the air photo layer, and so we can see it a little bit better. So what I want to do is construct two polygons, the affected and unaffected watershed. So what I'll do is make a new shape file. I'll make sure it's a polygon shape file, and I'm going to call it watersheds poly, and I'm going to use the split polygon tool to make these into two. So that's what I'll call it. This is GPS data, so that's WGS84, Geographic Coordinate System, and we'll say OK. Alright, now we go to our editing. We've got our empty watershed polygon, and so now we're going to go to create features. We're going to pick on that one, and we're going to make a polygon. So we just click around, doesn't much matter. This was just a guy walking around with a GPS unit, so there's nothing magical about these particular points. Alright, we got that. Let's save our edits, and we'll stop editing for a moment. Let's make this hollow, make the border bigger, make it dark blue so it stands out a little better. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to start editing again, and same shape file. Now we have to select, that's the one, okay, and we're going to go to the cut polygon tool. That's about right. Alright, there we go. Not exactly where he walked, but it's pretty close. Alright, let's save our edits, and we can stop editing. And right now we can turn off the line feature, just to get a good look at that. We can do a number of things with this at the moment. Let me just demonstrate one real quick. So we can, let's open the attribute table. So we now have two polygons in our shape file. I'm going to add a field here, and I'm going to call it name, and I'm going to make it a text file. I'll just leave it at 50. We don't need that much. Let's open up our editing again. We're going to edit that, and this one is the affected. I didn't check that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. And here's the unaffected watershed. Alright, and we can now save our edits and stop editing. Let's go here. We can turn on the labels now. So labels, we're going to label the features. We're going to label it with name. Oh, let's make it a little bit bigger so it shows up better. And so there we've got labels we can do. We can also symbolize it if we want to. So I can go to symbology, categories, and what I want to do is categorize by name. We'll add the values, and we don't have any other values. Let's make this hollow, and doesn't matter what color we make it. We'll make one of them. Well, let's make that one red for danger, and then we'll say OK, and we'll do this one, and we'll make it hollow, and we'll make it what? Let's make it green for safe, something like that, and say OK and OK. So we've got our symbolization and our labels. They're not absolutely necessary. Now what I'm going to do is turn that off, and we're going to turn back on this, and we're going to do this a different way by the autocomplete polygons. So we go here again, we make a new shapefile, we make it a polygon, and we're going to call it watersheds poly autocomplete. Alrighty, and set the coordinate system as always, and say OK and OK. Alright, so now we're going to go to editor, and we're going to start editing. We're going to edit our watersheds poly autocomplete, and now we're going to create a feature, and we're going to start with a polygon here, alright, let's save our edits, let's stop editing. We'll make this hollow, make this a little bit fatter so we can see it, and let's make it, oh, I don't know, let's make it purple or something. Okay, alrighty. Now what I want to do is do what they call autocomplete polygon. I'm going to turn off the watersheds track for the moment so it doesn't get confused about what I'm pointing to. I'm now going to open up another edit session for the autocomplete, say OK, and what I'm going to do now, so now I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to do autocomplete polygon. The way you do that, I've got to select that, or it doesn't know what to do. So now I'm going to go to autocomplete polygon, start inside the original polygon, go to where you want it to join up, and now I'm going to turn this back on so I can find my way around. Where did I put the darn thing? Well, darn it. Oh, there it is. Sorry about that. Alright, we'll go on around to here, and here, and here, and here, and alright, now we've got our second polygon, and they have the same. Let me turn off this that. So we now have two polygons, but we've made sure by this little trick, two different ways of doing it, that we have a coincident boundary. We have no overlaps and no gaps. In any case, so that's in the next video. Let me turn on the air photos just to reorient ourselves. So that's enough for this one. In the next video, we'll get the soil data and get that in shape to put into the map and do a point to raster interpolation of the data. So thank you, and that's all for now.